We did test this, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the presiding officer for today's ceremony, Major General Jimmy Cole, Deputy Adjutant General.
I don't know how you followed that. Don't you wish you were that young? I mean, the majority of those photos were you like 13? 12? Sheila and I were talking earlier down there with your family, and we were talking about how, not how we wish we could go back and be that young again, but kind of how we wish maybe we were what we are today, but our bodies felt like they did back then. And, but yeah, God thanks it is in Chaplain. What a great day. And we're all here for one purpose, and that's to sit here and honor, Jimmy and his entire family for his decades of service. And Jimmy, the turnout here, I look around and I see folks that I hadn't seen in quite some time, and so that's just a testament to what you've been able to accomplish and those that you've touched throughout your 34 years of service here in your career. So I know you're proud to see these folks that are in the room today, and they're proud of you, and not what you've done just in your career, but what you've done prior to your career and what you continue to do. But so General Haston and General Baker, General Bastian and Judy, thank y'all for being here. Sergeant Major Crockett, Sergeant Major Young, families, distinguished guests, fellow veterans, current and former service members and friends, it's truly a privilege for Dania and I to be here and be able to take part in today's ceremony. And Jimmy, thank you for having us as part of today. Sheila, Mrs. Reed, boys, the entire family, I'd just like to personally thank each of you for all the support and sacrifice that you've endured throughout the years to be able to allow your father, your husband, your dad to serve and touch all these people and everybody else that's not here today. 34 guys said it 34 years ago today, and that's how Jimmy, you picked today, 5 May 1989, Cinco de Mayo. Did it have something? I mean, was there something going on that day? I guess. But that's when you took action and began this chapter of your commitment to service. Today we celebrate and honor those accomplishments over the past 34 years of your dedication to community, state, nation, and even international commitment that you've touched throughout your service. Guy covered, a couple of key assignments and highlights of your career. You told him not to go into detail, so he didn't. But there's one thing that I would really like to touch on today that I think is just a critical part of not only what when I think of Jimmy Reed, what touches me, but I think every one of these people in here, and that's service. And I want to key on that. Me personally, that's like I said, that's what I think of as your enduring legacy. Again, not just for this 34 years of wearing this uniform, but throughout your life. So you've dedicated yourself to serving, whether that was with your family, the community, your fellow service members, their families, the citizens of our great state, the citizens of Iraq. Your commitment to serving has always been unwavering. And I want to focus on that today for two reasons. First, to recognize your enduring legacy, but also to demonstrate how rare that is to have someone of that quality in today's society. And it's difficult for me to articulate, but every time that I speak to a group of folks, whether it's young NCOs or officers or senior NCOs, we always talk about service and those that are unwilling or unable to serve today. They don't understand and realize the commitment and the sacrifice that both you and your family have undertaken to ensure that our communities are safe. And you do that. You've done that, and you will continue to do that. And I think it's important for us to tell that story. I think it's important for you to continue to tell that story and make sure that younger generation coming up, and it's not just the younger generation, it's a lot of folks throughout our society that just do not understand that commitment today. But that's not you. That's not you at all. You've always understood that commitment, and you've always been willing to undertake that sacrifice, and your family's always been willing to support you in that sacrifice. Your ability to mentor future leaders, whether that be through education or sustained professional development, just made you extremely successful in all of your assignments throughout. Just a few to mention that we discussed the other day: your time at Tennessee Tech, your time as a Secretary of General Staff and running an Officer Professional Development Program, and then when we combined that and made an Officer and NCO team Professional Development Program, and other areas within the community and other associations, such as your long-standing involvement, which is very well displayed not only in your boys, but also in what you still do today with the Boy Scouts. For those of that don't know, we just hosted I guess, second annual Merit Badge University here this weekend, and that man sitting right there. That's why it happens. Because of his commitment. To this day, Jimmy stays actively involved in all of those, in our association, whether it's at the state or national level, with the Boy Scouts. And I know he will continue to do that as we progress into his next chapter of his career here with us. I'm going to go back a little bit and talk about a couple of key assignments that I felt were like critical in Jimmy's career. And the first thing that you're going to come to is the thought of his two deployments. Both back in the early '90s and then again in 04-05 with the regiment. But that's not what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on his time in what we call our family programs, and when Jimmy served both as a deputy and then later on as the director of those programs. Jimmy was selected for those positions because of those qualities that I've been talking about. Because of his ability to build relationships, because of his ability to build teams and foster those relationships, and his untiring willingness to connect with not just our service members, but their families and their children. And that was instrumental in part of it in his career. And then in 2019, Colonel Reed took out what turned out to be his culminating military assignment. At that time is when he was selected to be the chief of the Joint Staff. Jimmy embraced that assignment. He was working with General Baker up in our new organizational structure, but he embraced that assignment and the challenges that came along with it, both with reinvigorating our Joint Staff that we had attempted a couple of times and threw aside. But this was our next attempt, and it's still enduring today. And also re-energizing our adaptive battle staff. At that time, nobody envisioned what our communities and our state and our world were about to encounter. The years that followed that assignment were filled with complex and chaotic times, to say the least. Natural disasters, social unrest, pandemic, all while we continue to do what we wear the uniform for, our primary mission, and that's to train and build readiness and deploy our formations to wherever they're needed across the world. But during these challenging times, Colonel Reed's ability to build those relationships and foster partnerships were never more evident. And his ability to communicate across the departments of the state and within were invaluable to our success in conquering each and every situation that confronted us. Never before in my career have we been more operational on a daily basis as we were during those couple of years. And much of our success was placed on Jimmy's shoulders to coordinate and oversee and communicate with all of our partners across the state. Challenging, to be sure. I personally feel this is where Colonel Reed thrived and solidified that legacy that I was talking about of service. But we're not done with you yet, Jimmy. So due to those demonstrated abilities and ability to sustain and build partnerships, Jimmy was selected, if you don't know, to serve as the department's communication director and also our legislative liaison. So you see what happens, Jimmy, when you do a good job at one thing, you get selected for two things. So, hey, Jimmy, I just, on a personal note, I just want to thank you from me to yours for your commitment to service. Please do what you do and continue to share that with those younger folks that you so much love to mentor. I look forward to continuing working with you in your new roles. Hopefully now that you have a little bit more time, I don't know, 2 to 1, I don't know how that's going to equate, but maybe not a lot of weekends. So hopefully I'll give you some more time to enjoy that pristine 1997 Mastercraft Pro Star 205. Daniel and I would love to see you and Sheila and the boys and the grandsons out at Center Hill. I know Jimmy is very appreciative to each and every one of you today for being here. And I want to tell you again, thank you for sharing your day today with him, his family, and with us. And thank all of you for your service. God bless you.
Thank you, Major General Cole. At this time, I would like to ask Colonel Reed to join General Cole at the front. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for a presentation of the Legion of Merit. Attention orders. The President of the United States of America, authorized by Act of Congress 20 July 1942, has awarded the Legion of Merit to Colonel James A. Reed for exceptionally meritorious service spanning over 34 years while serving in positions of increasing responsibility. Culminating as the Chief of Joint Staff, Joint Force Headquarters, Tennessee. Colonel Reed's personal commitment to service and the welfare of his fellow service members has been nothing less than superb. His record of quantifiable accomplishments anchored itself into the future of the Tennessee National Guard by training and mentoring tomorrow's leaders. While serving his country, Colonel Reed left a legacy of excellence throughout his tenure and serves as the model for others to emulate. Colonel Reed's accomplishments are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, Joint Force Headquarters, the Tennessee Army National Guard, and the United States Army. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Permanent Order 033-02, 2 February 2023, signed John A. Jensen, Lieutenant General, Director, Army National Guard. Please remain standing. Major General Cole will now present the Tennessee Distinguished Service Medal. Attention to orders. The Governor of the State of Tennessee has awarded the Tennessee Distinguished Service Medal to Colonel James A. Reed for over 34 years of dedicated and faithful service in positions of increasing responsibility, culminating as the Chief of the Joint Staff, Joint Force Headquarters, Tennessee Army National Guard. His dedication to duty and selfless devotion to the men and women of the Tennessee National Guard and state set the standard for all to emulate. Such a sterling performance enhances the great volunteer tradition of the Tennessee National Guard and honors the people of the state, for which we are grateful. Signed, Brigadier General Warner Ross, the Acting General, and Bill Lee, Governor. Thank you all. Please be seated. Colonel Reed can stay up front, sir. Colonel Reed was previously presented with the United States flag as a token of appreciation for his distinguished service to the Army and our nation. He will also receive a presidential letter and a Cold War medal at a later time. I'd like to ask Colonel Retired Scott to please come forward for the presentation of the Tennessee flag and letter from the Governor of Tennessee. The letter, which reads, in part, on behalf of the state of Tennessee, I am pleased to congratulate you on your retirement from military service and your years of service. You have brought proficiency and expertise to many challenging assignments and have certainly been a tremendous asset to the National Guard. I join all Tennesseans in recognizing your allegiance and outstanding service to our state and country. Signed, Bill Lee, Governor. Thank you, Colonel Scott.
Well, I gotta say one thing while I'm up here, of course. You know, you had a great career, blah, 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 right? I wanna talk about, friendship, okay? Jimmy and I have been friends since college. We met in college, and, so you know, we go back a long ways. But in this business, you know, we started working together. Some of those pictures up there are County Drug. We didn't know what we were doing or anything like that, but we were lieutenants together with Colonel Wagner, and that's where I got to know his family. And you know, I watched his boys grow up. Our kids grew up together. I just couldn't keep up with Jimmy. I could only have two. So, but you know, I remember one time that I was gone somewhere and our heating went out at our house. And who showed up? You know, Jimmy showed up at the house, brought some heaters over to take care of Leslie. But that's the kind of relationship that we've had. And so, again, I just want you to know that you're one of my best buddies in the whole world, right?
You look a little uncomfortable, sir.
Philip. Hey. I told Philip I start crying, man. Think of cramp. Everybody.
I apologize, sir. I didn't mean to call you out. But please stay remaining up there, sir. Thank you, Colonel Scott. At this moment, Colonel Reed will now be presenting the family awards. Ms. Sheila Reed, would you please join your husband at the front? The Military Spouse Medal is now being presented to Ms. Sheila Reed. The Spouse Medal does not wear a uniform, yet they serve their country. They do not require nor wear ribbons showing where they have been. They did not ask for the duty they perform, yet they unwaveringly served to their best of their ability. The burning candle signifies the lonely nights you have spent and that you have kept the house, the home fires burning. A symbol with no beginning and no end, the ring around the candle flame symbolizes the undying love for your spouse. The image of a rose is for the unwavering devotion you have shown for your spouse and their service to this country. This medal is gratefully given to those that do not ask, those that